Welcome to episode 7 of In His Bag. A lot to get into, a lot has happened. I didn't do a news episode, kind of had to study for midterms, but nothing crazy outside of NFL free agency happened. So let's get right into that. Cue the intro music.
Tedeschi dentro su volta per Dybala, attenzione, va la gioia di Dybala! Stokely down the sideline, can they catch him? Stokely, wow!
They do have a timeout, decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown, bang, bang!
Like I mentioned, not too much has happened, but NFL free agency has started. The new league year started on Monday. So, an absurd amount of deals have gone down. Teams have gotten better. Some got worse. Some got fleeced out of deals. Max Crosby, Raiders. But a lot of stuff has happened. So, before we get into the NFL free agency, we got to get into all of the news that has happened outside of the NFL. So we'll get right into the news. The first piece of news is that Bam Adebayo dropped 83 points on Tuesday night. You heard that right. 83 points. That is the second most points in a game in NBA history. He surpassed Kobe's 81 against the Raptors in 06, and now that is only behind Wilt Chamberlain's Fugazi 100-point game. Yes, it's Fugazi. The only proof that game happened is a piece of paper with crayon on it. I will stand by that take for till the end of time. But Bam Adebayo dropped 83 points. There's been a lot of questions about the ethicality of it, because he attempted the most free throws in NBA history, and he made the most free throws in NBA history. He had 43 free throw attempts. He made 36 of them. That's way too many free throws. It was nasty to watch. I will say he did make 7 threes. He had an efficient game as well, but he also, I just get hung up on the free throws. I think he attempted as many free throws as he did field goals, which is nasty work. But 83 points is still 83 points, no matter how you get around it. There is also the caveat that it came against the Wizards, who are all younger than I am. They're all like 19. So there's also that caveat to consider. They also just did not double team Bam at all. I think they double teamed him late in the fourth after he already had like 70 or something like that. It was insane. And then Eric Spoelstra has not backed down on criticism for his coaching decisions. To put some context behind it, the Heat were kind of trying to get the scoring record. They were fouling to get the ball back. They were doing a whole lot of stuff to try and get Bam the ball over other players and just rush the pace, kind of to emulate that 60s basketball where Wilt got his 100. Just push the pace as fast as possible, get him as many shots as possible. And Spoelstra has not backed down from that at all. He said I don't remember off the top of my head, but he is not apologizing for it. And I don't know how I feel about Bam Adebayo scoring, now holding the second most points in NBA history. It just doesn't feel right. I feel like if you polled like 100 people, 95 wouldn't have Bam Adebayo in the top like 50 people or top 50 players who are going to drop, who are going to become the second highest single game scorer in NBA history. Like, no one thought this was going to happen. Like, Bam is also just not known as a scorer. I think he went from 18.9 points per game. Like, that was his season average before he scored 83. It went up to 20 points per game. Like, he's a tweener big. Nobody expected him to do this. Someone who's averaging 18.9 points is not supposed to score 83. Like, you nearly quadrupled. No, you didn't nearly. You quadrupled your season average. Like, that doesn't compute in my head. It's just wild stuff. So, yeah, Bam Adebayo is now above Kobe Bryant for most points scored in a single game with 83. What is happening to the game that we love here? Jeez Louise. We're going to stay with basketball, though. Go to something not as weird, but unfortunate. Tyrese Maxey's been diagnosed with a tendon injury in his right pinky, and he'll be reevaluated in 3 weeks. So this is just unfortunate. I love watching Tyrese Maxey play. He's honestly one of my favorite players to watch. And even though the Sixers have been struggling a bit as of late, this just really takes the wind out from under them. Tyrese Maxey is their best player by far, even if Embiid has bounced back in this latter part of the season. He's been playing well. It's just tough to watch Maxey have to sit off on the sideline. And then I was scrolling through Twitter and I saw a tweet about Maxey, Embiid, and Paul George that they've barely played together. I think it was like of the 179 games they've been on the Sixers together, I think they've only played like 30. I could be completely wrong about that number, but it's a very, very low number. Like, they haven't played together at all. And that team would be good. It's just that Embiid dealt with injuries. PG is dealing with and dealt with the suspension, and now Maxey he's injured now, but Maxey has been the most consistent player for that team out of those 3, and it just sucks to see him have to leave. But now I think it'll be up to VJ. He'll take that mantle. He'll try and improve. We'll really see if he can lead the team, be that impact player that they wanted him to be and that he has the potential to be. Now we are going to move away from basketball and get into soccer. There has been a lot of news being made about Iran and whether or not they are going to compete in the World Cup this year. As I'm sure all of you know, the U.S. is now at war with Iran. Iran has qualified and have been qualified for the World Cup for a long time. But I think Minister of Sport, I don't believe that's the official title, but he said that the team is considering pulling out of the World Cup. The senior official from the Islamic Republic of Iran Football Federation said that what is certain is that after this attack, we cannot be expected to look forward to the World Cup with hope. They said that it is doubtful they are going to be playing, and President of the U.S. isn't exactly making things better. If people don't know, he is buddies with Infantino, who is the president of FIFA. the main body of soccer, the organizer of the World Cup, things like that. So that doesn't bode well. And then President of the U.S. has been making comments and replying to the things that the Iranian Football Federation has been saying stuff like they'd be lucky to play, they'll be welcome, but not like necessary. Like it's getting messy, and it's not something that you want to see. The World Cup is supposed to be this event that brings countries together, it unites people. It's the most watched sporting event like in the world. It only happens once every 4 years, so you just hate to see it getting overshadowed by all of this stuff that's really just messy, and it shouldn't be happening in sports. I've been talking about this in one of my classes about the politics that's involved with sports. They always go together. They always go hand in hand, which is unfortunate. I think that it should somehow be separated, even though that'll sadly never happen. But just let the players enjoy the game. Don't let them be affected by what is happening or in the outside world. It's kind of, I'm sorry, I'm kind of saying just this is kind of like going to basketball players, like just dribble a ball or just shoot the ball, stuff like that. That's not what I'm saying. I think that they should be free from having to worry about the impacts that their actions are going to have, and they shouldn't be a reflection of their country's decisions. I don't know, because like as I'm saying this, all of this stuff kind of just sounds the same. I'm just like rephrasing it. I just feel like the politics shouldn't be intermingled with the sports. They should be two different things. Let the World Cup be the World Cup. Let it be separate. And then let whatever issue is happening between the U.S. and Iran and Israel, let that be a different thing. Don't let them overlap and ruin something that has been happening for nearly a century now, and is just something. It's the greatest sporting event in the world. It brings people together, and that's the main point of the World Cup. So I just don't enjoy seeing this and hearing all of the stuff that is coming out about this situation between Iran, the US, FIFA, and whether they're gonna participate. But now we get into some interesting stuff. We got Champions League. I will say some of this stuff surprised me, some of it didn't. Galatasaray beat Liverpool 1-0. It was an interesting... They scored early, too. It was like 7th minute. Yeah, 7th minute. It wasn't... I honestly thought Liverpool was going to win. You can go back a couple episodes ago when I previewed the round of 16 and everything that happened there. I thought Liverpool was going to easily handle Galatasaray, but you never... Apparently not. So they have to go win their next match. It has to be either 2-0, 3-1, something like that. It has to be a decided thing. And I believe Liverpool can do that. They have the talent to do that. It'll just be interesting to see whether or not they'll be able to do that. And then something else another storyline that really came out, we'll gloss over Bayern and Atalanta. That went as standard. I knew that was going to happen. But something that bothered me was the Atletico Madrid-Tottenham game. Tottenham decided to start the second goalie, and he let in 3 goals in the first 15 minutes of the game, which ended up with him getting subbed off. So you sub off your goalie in the first 15 minutes and put in Vicario, who is your first goalie. First of all, I don't understand why Vicario didn't start the game for you. It is the Champions League round of 16. You cannot afford to go down 3 goals. You don't come back from that. And then it's like, why are you starting this young keeper in such a high profile match? Let Vicario start. He's the older, more experienced goalie. You can ruin this kid's confidence. Something that I saw was a tweet saying that it reminded them a lot of Karius for Liverpool against Real Madrid in that Champions League final a couple of years ago. I think something like that may end up happening where you just killed this kid's confidence because you decided to throw him under the bus in maybe one of the biggest moments of his life. So it's not exactly something that you want to see done by any team. And then Bodo Glimt is going to be in the quarterfinals unless Sporting decides to win 4-0. Bodo Glimt won 3-0 against Sporting, and they just looked amazing in that game, honestly. I said Sporting was going to win that series, but clearly I am wrong. Bodo Glimt is going to win. They're going to play the winner of Arsenal and Bayer Leverkusen. So, Bodo Glimt, congratulations. You scare me now. I don't know how far they can go. If they face off against the winner of Bayer of Leverkusen and Arsenal, they could very well beat them, which would be amazing. Honestly, have them get to the semifinals. That would be quite the story, quite the fairy tale world, and something that we really haven't seen in a while with all these powerhouse teams owned by these rich, really rich people dumping billions of dollars into their squads. And then talking about rich teams with owners dumping in billions, Real Madrid mopped the floor with City. City didn't even see the ball. And that caused a lot of questions to be raised about Pep Guardiola's lineup. When you have Valverde scoring 2 goals in the span of 7 minutes and a hat trick in the first half, there are questions that are going to be asked. That should not be happening. It wasn't even Mbappe. It wasn't Vini. It was Valverde. That should not be happening. So it looks like Real is going to go through, and they're going to face Bayern in the next round. A lot of interesting stuff is happening in the Champions League. It'll be interesting to see what else happens and who ends up going on to the next round. After that, we got UFC. The White House card is official. They're going to issue 85,000 free tickets to the White House card. It's wild. I can't believe that, first of all, the fight is actually going to happen. The fact that card is happening is just blowing my mind away. Because I've talked with a lot of friends in wrestling club, jiu-jitsu club, MMA gym, like, about the feasibility of hosting like a UFC event at the White House. The amount of security that you have, first of all, the president's going to be there, so you got Secret Service. It's the White House, so you're going to have the military there as well. You're going to have the UFC like private security. You have all the event staff there as well. You have the fans. And then you have families. It's just a logistical nightmare. I don't know how all of this is going to happen. So they still have a couple months to plan. We're in March right now, March 13th. And it's going to happen June 14th. So you still got April and May to plan it. You got 3 months to plan it. But it's quite the logistical nightmare to like go through. But honestly, hey, if you get a White House card, the amount of money that you will be able to generate is absurd. And also, you just got to put the best fights on there. I don't care who it is. Have shoot, go with what the U.S. president said. Have like 9 title fights, even though there aren't even like 9 like male weight classes. You got like flyweight, bantamweight, lightweight, welterweight, middleweight, light heavy, heavy. Go like add BMF and then just add another weight division for all I care. Go White House champion. Just do something. It's gonna be spectacular. I can't wait to watch this. I will be tuned in for every minute of that card. And then last piece of news. This one was kind of funny, but apparently the U.S. is very entitled when it comes to baseball. Or maybe the U.S. manager is just dumb. Because the U.S. manager mistakenly said that they had already advanced in the World Baseball Classic to the quarterfinals, but they weren't. And then they lost to Italy. Since when is Italy good at baseball? Since never. We don't play baseball. Play soccer and rugby and volleyball, but that's it. And ski because we did winter sports because we did decent we did really well at the Winter Olympics, but we don't play baseball. That's not what we do over there. So yeah, you lost to Italy, and you had to rely on Italy beating Mexico for you to pass to the next round. That's concerning. You should not be relying on Italians in baseball. You have the most disgusting roster filled with filled with the best talent in baseball, apart from probably the Dominicans who are just launching bombs and emoting every game that they play in. So you should be able to do that. Also, Mark DeRosa, you should know what it takes to make it to the next round, not just assume you're there because you're the U.S. Not how that works there, buddy. So that was certainly entertaining to watch. But that is all the major news that has happened outside of NFL free agency. Some entertaining stuff, though. I enjoyed it. But now I've been mentioning NFL free agency since I started the show. Now it's finally time to actually get into that. Welcome to the main topic of the episode. We're going to be going over all of the major free agency moves that have happened so far. It's been 1 week since the start of the new league year, and there is a lot to get into. So let's just get started. First major move. It's Kyler Murray has signed with the Vikings. It's a league minimum deal. I think it's like $2 million compared to what could have been I think it was one of the highest contracts in the league if he had been traded from the Cardinals. So it's a bargain bin deal for the Vikings, and honestly, I am all for it. It's a great move for them. You don't really have to worry about the repercussions of, if he doesn't play well, you can just bench him. He's making $2 million per year. It doesn't really matter all that much. But let's back up a minute and look at why he's on a league minimum. So let's just start off by saying he has highs. He's thrown for 121 touchdowns and 32 rushing touchdowns over the course of his career. He is one of like 3 players with 20,000 passing yards and 3,000 rushing yards. So he's an amazing player that can produce, but there's also a lot of downsides that come along with that. Mainly his size. He's what, 5'10" on a good day. He's a small guy, and with that size in the NFL comes a lot of injury issues. So he's only played in every game 3 times in his career: 2019, 2020, and 2024. So that's a big issue. He's missed 3 games 2021, 6 2022 after he tore his ACL 22. And then that also caused him to miss a bunch of time in 2023. And then he played in just 5 games last year. So injury issues are a major, major question. However, if you look at the move overall for the Vikings, you bring in someone who's better than who's better than JJ McCarthy, but that's not really saying much because the bar is in the depths of the ocean right now. Not even in the basement. It's just horrendously low. So Kyler Murray, he can push the ball downfield. He can get those deep shots to Justin Jefferson, who barely had 1,000 yards. I think he had like 2 touchdowns on the year. So being able to put the ball out and give it to your receiver is something that is very useful and very much needed for this Vikings offense. Also, I think Kevin O'Connell can bring out the best in Kyler. Like we saw with Cliff Kingsbury, but I think KOC is a much better coach than Kingsbury. So there can be a big step forward in Kyler's play this year. So I really like this move. I'll give this move for the Vikings. I'll give this an A. It's a very, very good move with honestly not that much downside considering you could just move off of him immediately. After that, we go to quarterback number 2 with Geno Smith going to the Jets. He was traded to the Jets. It wasn't a free agent signing. The Raiders sent over Geno on 2026 7th for the Jets' 2026 sixth round pick. So Geno is being reunited with the team that drafted him. Interesting progression. I'll say that. But it was expected that the Raiders were going to move off of him. It was reported earlier, before the official league start of the official league year, that they were either going to release him or trade him. So it makes sense, especially when you consider that in his 15 starts, he threw 19 touchdowns, but he also threw 17 interceptions, which was the league high. And it was also the second most of his career. And first most was when he threw 21 as a rookie with the Jets. So it's that. There's that. But then also, initially, the Raiders were, if they released him, they were going to pay $18.5 million of salary. But now, with the trade, they'll only pay him $16.2 because Geno renegotiated his contract, and the Jets are going to pay the difference plus a $1 million raise. So basically, Geno gets paid $19.5 million. The Raiders are paying $16.2, and the Jets are paying the rest, which is what, $3.3 million. So yeah, but it's much need. I don't know if it's much needed because Geno didn't exactly play amazing ball. He might have reached that age cliff. But when you consider the fact that Woody Johnson criticized Justin Fields and blamed him for the reason they weren't winning games, it was clear that they were going to move off of him, and they needed to bring someone else in. Their other options were Brady Cook and Bailey Zappi. So not exactly top of the line quarterback play, but it's bringing in Gino isn't exactly something that's life-altering either. It's a weird thing. I think it's clear that the Jets are going to try and tank again this year and get a higher draft pick. And maybe Gino is another casualty of a number one overall pick like he was this year with the Raiders are going to draft Fernando Mendoza. So maybe he is another number one pick casualty with the Jets next year. Who knows? But overall, I give this a C. You're only paying $3.3 million for Gino if you're the Raiders, and on top of that, it's pretty much just like a 1-year rental. You can discard him at the end of the season, and also no one's really expecting much of anything from the Jets as a whole, as an organization. So even if you bench Gino and I put in Brady Cook or Bailey Zappi, it's not going to alter the shape or the course of the NFL season for anybody. I don't even know if Jets fans are going to be that up in arms about it. After that, we got Gardner Minshew going to the Cardinals. Not going to start for the Cardinals. He's going to be Jacoby Brissett's backup because Cardinals released Kyler Murray, as I talked about earlier, in favor of Jacoby Brissett. But Gardner Minshew is going to be the backup. He signed a 1-year deal worth $5.75 million, but with incentives and all of that, it could get up to $8.25 million. So not a crazy deal, not horrible. He's been brought in as a backup, and honestly, not a horrible backup to bring in. This is a guy that's coming in with 11,000 yards, almost 12,000 yards, and 68 touchdowns. He's a former Pro Bowler. He's thrown for 3,300 yards in a season. So not exactly a bad option to have as your backup quarterback. But I don't know if LaFleur there is thrilled about having him. When you look at what he did last year, he played in 4 games last season, but only one of them was a start, and that came after Mahomes destroyed his knee, and it was out for the season. And after 3 plays in that game, Gardner Minshew had to leave the game. A lot of people thought that he also tore his ACL, but it just turned out to be I believe it was a severe bone bruise or something along those lines. So he didn't exactly play a whole lot last year, but I'm also giving this a C. The combination of Jacoby Brissett and Gardner Minshew as your 1 and 2 in the quarterback room doesn't exactly inspire confidence in me. So there are some issues that have to be addressed. I don't know what LaFleur is going to do with this quarterback situation after this year because, like I said, Minshew's only signing a 1-year deal, so there is the possibility that he goes and leaves next year and joins what will be his 7th team now. So it could go a lot of different directions this year and also next year. After that, we get to probably one of the juicier notifications when it comes to quarterbacks, and that is that Tua was released and signed with the Falcons. This is messy, especially when you look at it for the Dolphins. Tua signed $112 million extension in 2024. He hasn't exactly lived up to that money. And keeping in mind, that was the season that he led the league in passing. That was coming off of 2023 where he had
4,624 passing yards with 29 touchdowns. He played in all 18 of Miami's games. So, and that was also the year that Tyreek Hill was gunning for 2,000 receiving yards. So there was a bit of stat inflation. But Miami bought into that season. They're like, oh, let's give him this bag right now. And that didn't exactly work out. Even though Tua led the league in completion percentage 2024, he missed 6 games with a concussion and late season hip injury. And then the inconsistencies carried into 2025 last season, where he ultimately got put on the bench and they started Quinn Ewers. So it's messy. Very, very messy. And now the Dolphins are on the hook for $99 million in dead cap money, which is the biggest cap hit in NFL history, bigger than the Russell Wilson cap hit. Essentially, it's $54 million in 2026 and an additional $45 million in 2027. So Dolphins are just eating the cap. It's clear that they wanted to move on from him if you're willing to take on a $99 million cap hit. But the move to the Falcons, I give this a C? No. This is a D. This is horrible. Like, the one logical reason you could think that they brought Tua in is that he's a lefty and so is Penix. But that's pretty much it. Maybe they're thinking that Tua's going to fill in as quarterback while Penix recovers from that ACL injury. But this is even worse than the Cardinals quarterback room of Jacoby Brissett and Gardner Minshew. You have Michael Penix and Tua. It seems like bad quarterbacks just follow Kevin Stefanski around like moths or flies. It's ridiculous. And I get that Tua can get it to his receivers. He can deliver it like you saw it when he was playing with Tyreek Hill. He fed Tyreek Hill the ball, so he can feed it to Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan. He can feed it to his players and get it there, get his passing numbers up. But there are the health questions. There was that nasty streak of concussions that wasn't exactly fun to watch in 2022. So there is that issue. There's also, he's a smaller quarterback, kind of like Kyler. He's had hip issues as well. He had a major hip surgery in college, and then he had hip injuries in 2024 as well. So it's not a great move for the Falcons, and clearly the Dolphins were willing to move off of him with that massive cap hit. And the person that the Dolphins moved off of him for was Malik Willis. A lot of people considered him the top quarterback in this free agency class. The Dolphins give him a 3-year, $65.7 million deal with $45 million fully guaranteed. And they just created probably the fastest trio between wide receiver, quarterback, and running back with Achane, Waddle, and Willis in the league. So that is certainly a first. But Malik Willis was widely considered to be the top quarterback free agent in this free agency pool. And honestly, I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it. Like, he was originally drafted by the Titans in, I think it was that Will Levis. No, it wasn't Will Levis. Will Levis was after in that Kenny Pickett class. And that was historically bad. But after he was moved to the Packers, he made 11 appearances there with 3 starts. He went 2-1 on those starts. I will say, he completed 78.7% of his passes for 972 yards and 6 touchdowns. He also had 0 interceptions. He also had 3 rushing touchdowns on top of that. So he played well, and he boosted his stock in the past couple seasons. 2024, he started in 3 games. He started in 2 games 2024 with back-to-back wins. And that was after less than a month after joining the Packers. So there was that. And then last year, he played in 4 games, 1 start. He played well. He was 30 of 35 for 422 yards and 3 touchdowns. He also had 123 yards on the ground with 2 touchdowns. So I think really last year and his play really boosted him up a lot of people's free agency boards and built off of what he did in 2024, which was not bad. I give this a B. Very, very solid move. That it's clearly the start of the new era for the Dolphins. Willis has familiarity with the GM and the head coach, who were both part of Green Bay while he was there. Hafley was the DC, so he was facing Willis a lot when Willis was running the second-team offense against first-team defense. So the familiarity there is a good thing. Maybe Hafley also knows something that we don't know, something that he saw while they were in Green Bay that really impressed him, and also the GM, John Eric Sullivan. So there could be a lot of there's going to be improvements for the Dolphins quarterback room. Like, it's Quinn Ewers. If they didn't sign Willis, Quinn Ewers was going to be their most experienced quarterback, and he was drafted last year. So that's not good. Keeping in mind, Willis is also, I believe, his 4th year in the league, if I'm not mistaken. I could be very wrong, though. So it's a good move. I'll give it a B for the Dolphins. And then we get to the final major quarterback deal, and that is Daniel Jones signing with the Colts. It's a 2-year, $88 million extension that could be worth up to $100 million. I have what I feel like is a controversial opinion on this extension. This is the Giant extensions 2.0. Like, they shouldn't have signed. You're basically paying Daniel Jones $44 million per year, and he's not even going to play the first year. He tore his Achilles last year in week 10. Unless you're Jason Tatum and you're coming back in 10 months, which he's not. So you just look at it. You got, he hurt himself. Week 10 is what? October, November. You got December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September. If you really, really push it, he's back in September. If we're going realistic, we go like 12 months. October, he's coming back in November. Like, he's basically missing the entire first year of that contract. And you put him on, you franchise tagged him. You had him for another year. You should have just kept him on the tag. You did the same thing that the Giants did. I'm giving this a D. Even though he played well in those up until that point. He had new career high in passing yards per attempt with 8.1, QBR with 36, and completion rate with 68%. Shane Steichen, it looked like he had unlocked something, but how much are we going to trust just like a 10-week sample size? What are we doing here? 10-week sample size. Like, we can't even say it was like the Sam Darnold thing with Minnesota last year. Because Sam Darnold played the whole season. Daniel Jones played 10 weeks. So you could have just kept him on the franchise tag and made him prove that what happened was real. Make him prove that it wasn't a fluke. But no, you did the same thing that the Giants did. You saw some hints of improvement, and you're like, oh, deal, instantly. We need to keep him as our future quarterback. No, you didn't. You could have gone in so many other directions. This just bothers me. You could have kept him on the tag. You could have turned this into a prove it year. Make him really deserve that contract extension. And then if he balls out for a second year, okay, give him the extension. But not now. Not when he's going to miss like more than half the season. He's recovering from an Achilles. The NFL, the Achilles is not that friendly of an injury. It's bad. Like, quarterbacks that we've seen tear their Achilles. Like, Aaron Rodgers can't move anymore. Like, there's no good precedent for NFL quarterbacks coming off of Achilles injuries. It's not a good thing. So this is by far the worst quarterback move for me. This is a D. I hate this. But that's enough for the quarterbacks. I got worked up about Daniel Jones, and I'm not mad about it. That deal was horrible, but we got to go to some better deals, and that is Kenneth Walker signed with the Chiefs. And this is the first A that I'm handing out. This changes everything for the Chiefs. I'm just going to list off. I'm just going to start talking about Kenneth Walker here. Not even what this does to the Chiefs. Just Kenneth Walker. He had 1,300 scrimmage yards last year. He averaged 4.6 yards per carry. He had 4 touchdowns. And you know how the Chiefs are like playoff risers? Yeah, Kenneth Walker fits that role precisely. His yards per carry went from 4.4 over the first 15 weeks to 5.9 over the final 3 games of the regular season. If that doesn't sound like a playoff riser, I don't know what is. And then that was just at the end of the regular season. In the playoffs, he was arguably better than he was in the regular season. He had 4 touchdowns in 3 games. He had 417 scrimmage yards. He had 161 scrimmage yards on 29 touches in the Super Bowl. Like, he's a playoff riser. And when you pair that with the Chiefs, who are just infamously notorious for being playoff risers, like Mahomes is the playoff quarterback of all time apart from Brady. But in this modern era, it's Mahomes. We've all talked about what Mahomes has done with what can only be called lackluster rosters. Now you give him an actual running back, it's terrifying. And then you add the fact that Kenneth Walker, there were some injury concerns last year, or 2 years ago, but last season, he played in all 20 games, including the playoffs. And he didn't miss a single practice, not to mention a game. He didn't miss a practice. So, for the Chiefs, it's the first A+ I'm giving it, and it's a clear A+. You are bringing in a running back who is a playoff riser, has been disgustingly good, even back at his time in Michigan State. I remember watching him back when that was the year that Michigan State was disgusting. I was genuinely scared as an Ohio State fan. I'm like, why is Michigan State so good? And I'm watching Kenneth Walker, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that tracks. He's disgusting. So you bring in this running back who's just a freak to an offense that ranked 25th in rushing yards and 18th in touchdowns. Those numbers are going to go up next year. There's no question about it. You replace Isaiah Pacheco with Kenneth Walker, Super Bowl MVP. Like, that's a major, major bump up. And then you pair that with Mahomes, you pair that with Travis Kelce coming back, and just the magic that they are able to perform. The Chiefs are going to be dangerous again. I don't care when Mahomes comes back in the season. Whenever he does, it's going to be crazy timing. And I'm honestly, the Chiefs might be back in the Super Bowl. I wouldn't be surprised. It was one down year, and here we go, back again. Like, Mahomes got hurt, cool. Moving on. Who cares? Yeah, we're back. So that's probably, in my opinion, what it's going to go. And Kenneth Walker is going to be a big, big reason why that is. After that, we go to the man that Kenneth Walker replaced, Isaiah Pacheco. So it was clear that after the Chiefs signed Kenneth Walker, Isaiah Pacheco was probably going to be out the door. And indeed he was. He went to the Lions. He is essentially replacing David Montgomery to be Knuckles 2.0 to pair up with Jahmyr Gibbs. Even though Jahmyr Gibbs is clearly the star running back, he's the RB1. He will get the majority of the touches. Pacheco could be very, very useful. He's known for his aggressive style. A lot of people say that he runs like he's mad at the ground. And that's what they need from this kind of downhill, in between the tackles type runner. He doesn't put up crazy numbers. 2022, when he was a rookie, he had 830 yards. 2023, he had 935. So in his first 2 years, he played well. He was that downhill back, a lot of that the Lions are looking for. But past 2 seasons, he's only played in 20 games, and he's had a combined 772 yards, which is less than he had in his rookie and sophomore seasons, like individually. So there's that. There's like he's missed like in those past 2 seasons, he's only played 20 games, and that's been because of injuries. He fractured his fibula in 2024, and then 2025 he had a knee injury that set him back. So there are injury concerns there. And then also when you look at the amount of carries that he's going to be getting, if we're comparing him to David Montgomery and we're giving him, and the Lions are giving him the same workload, he'll be getting roughly 40 more carries per season than what he's used to. So it'll be interesting to see if his body's able to hold up when you consider the injuries in the past couple of seasons and what has gone on there. But all things considered, I gave this a C. It's nothing crazy. I feel like I'm giving out a lot of C's, but it's not a horrible deal. I like it for them. After that, we go over to the Steelers. And they have signed former Panthers running back Rico Dowdle on a 2-year, $12.25 million deal. So this is a nice move for the Steelers. They are replacing Kenneth Gainwell, which I will get into in a little bit. He was their team MVP. He was their RB2. So this is a good pairing up with Jaylen Warren. I like it a lot. like Rico Dowdle, he's had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. Last year, he had 1,076 rushing yards. So he's a good player. It's a nice pairing with Warren. They're both aggressive runners. I'd say Rico Dowdle. I don't want to say he's the less explosive out of the two, considering the fact that he's in a 2-game stretch during week 5 and 6 of the season with the Panthers. He had 473 scrimmage yards, which was Panthers franchise record. So it's a nice pairing for them. And the Steelers trying to get back to the roots, being a tough football team, run the ball, win with defense, especially when you consider the fact that no one really knows what's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers and if he's coming back, what he's going to look like if he does, who the quarterback is going to be if he doesn't come back. So just securing the running back room is a great way to mitigate some of those issues right there. And for that, I give this move a B. You're only paying him like $6.125 million per year. So it's not crazy. Like, you're paying him $6 million per year for a back like that. Like I said, has had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. So even if you do running back by committee with Jaylen Warren, which you'll most likely do, it's a good 1-2 punch for them. So it's a solid B, and I like this for the Steelers. After that, we get to, we go back to the Cardinals. We go to Tyler Allgeier. He moved on from the Falcons on same deal as Rico Dowdle, 2 years, $12.25 million. And it's not a bad deal for the Cardinals. Allgeier is now he's known as a power back, the RB2 behind Bijan, but a lot of people forget that even as a 5th-round pick in 2022 out of BYU, he rushed for 1,000 yards his rookie season on 210 carries. So he was good. Like, he's not bad. A lot of people think that, he's just RB2 because the Falcons have Bijan. Bijan is amazing. Don't get me wrong there. Bijan is nice. But even playing behind Bijan, Allgeier has put up in the first 2 seasons after the Falcons drafted Bijan, so 2023, 2024. In both of those seasons, he rushed for more than 640 yards. And both those seasons he had, in 2023, he had 4 touchdowns. 2024, he had 3 touchdowns. So it's not exactly like he's been playing horribly. He's a good running back. Smash mouth back. He had more touchdowns than Bijan in the red. He was their leading red zone scorer with 8 touchdowns, I believe, in the red zone. So he can make an impact. And then when you look at it from the Cardinals' perspective, you're pairing him up with James Conner, who suffered a nasty foot injury against the 49ers. That power station is devious. But when James Conner comes back, that is a physical, aggressive backfield that honestly will be good. I like that. When you put it behind the floor, who is coming from the McVay scheme, the McVay tree, where they know how to put together run schemes, it's a very, very nice move for them. Something that can really help them elevate. Like I talked about, that quarterback room not exactly great. It's something that can help them elevate that quarterback room, kind of also like what the Steelers are doing with Rico Dowdle and Jaylen Warren. So that running back committee can really help them. Running back by committee that'll work out, really help the quarterback no matter who's in there. So for the Cardinals, I give this back-to-back Bs. I gave it a B for Rico Dowdle. I gave it a B for Tyler Algier. Very, very solid move and something that will help the Cardinals this season. After that, we get to, I think, one of the more shocking moves of free agency. Travis Etienne, he signed with the Saints for a record deal, I believe. It was 4 years, $52 million per year, 14 or $52 million total, $14 million per year. So this is an interesting move for the Saints. Let's not throw into doubt Etienne's production, even though he missed his rookie season with an injury. He has rushed for 2,133 yards and 16 touchdowns, along with 792 receiving yards between 2022 and 2023. But let's not throw out the window what happened in 2024 when I will throw it out the window 2024 when Tank Bigsby came in and kind of was the RB1. A lot of people thought that Etienne was a bust. But no, Etienne is the RB1. He's only 27 years old, and he rushed for 1,100 yards last season. He threw out all the discourse about Tank Bigsby being the true RB1. No. He's rushed for 1,000 yards 3 times in his career. He's the Jags' third all-time rusher, which is insane considering he was only there for 5 seasons. He also had a career-high 13 touchdowns last year. I'm kind of all over the place, but Etienne is productive. He has 5,136 scrimmage yards and 32 total touchdowns in 4 seasons with the Jaguars. That's more than 1,250 scrimmage yards per season. So he's productive. We're not saying that he's not. We're accepting he is productive. I don't know if he's NFL record or league high productive in terms of deals with the Saints. So for that, I'll give it a, I don't know if I want to give it a B. I'll give it a C plus. Not horrible, but it's a bit steep. It also brings into question what you're going to do with Alvin Kamara. Whether you keep him as an RB2, decide to move on from him, like what the situation is there. So there's some questions that have to be addressed when it comes to Alvin Kamara. But you're putting together a solid offense. You have decent offensive line. Tyler Shugg didn't play horribly last year. You still have Chris Olave, who is good despite the concussion questions. So it's a solid move for them. You bring in a nice, productive back. Etienne, he's only 27 years old. So you got what? A lot of people think the running back cliff is at 30. You still got 3 more productive years from him. So it's a good signing for them. Yeah, nothing crazy. And then the last running back that we have is one Kenneth Gainwell. Kenny Gainwell went from the Steelers to the Bucks. It's a higher deal than what his replacement in Pittsburgh got. Rico Dowdle got 2 years, 12.25. Kenneth Gainwell is getting 2 years, 14. So $7 million per year. He was arguably the Steelers' most important offensive player. He was their team MVP, and he did it all. It was an impressive season. He had 21 touchdowns. Or no, sorry. He had a career high 1,023 yards from scrimmage. He had 8 touchdowns. He also returned 24 kicks. So when you consider everything that he did, it was impressive. He split time with Jaylen Warren and was still named the Steelers MVP. So that is impressive. And then he is now joining Bucky Irving in that Bucs running back room, and I give this an A. I like this for them. Not a crazy amount of money, $7 million. Could be a lot worse, but you're bringing in someone who is a Super Bowl champion. He has that pedigree with the Eagles when they won it. You have someone who is averaging 4.4 yards per carry in his career, 6.9 yards per reception. He has 21 touchdowns. And I keep talking about running back by committee with the Cardinals, with the Steelers, but now also with the Bucs. You have running back by committee with Kenneth Gainwell and Bucky Irving. And that's very respectable. I like that a lot for them. Like, boost up that offense, which it wasn't amazing last year. There was the talks of the Baker Mayfield MVP case in the first 6 weeks of the season. Then that died down. The offense wasn't great, but when you have a productive running game with Gainwell and Bucky Irving, good things can happen. You don't have the quarterback questions that you do have with the Cardinals and the Steelers. It's going to be Baker Mayfield. You know what you can expect from him. So you can have these explosive games. You could also have the downside. So it's a bit up and down, but generally it's consistent. And you're also going into the NFC South, which is bad, is the nice way to put it. So when you go into the NFC South with arguably the best running back room in the division, you'll get a good grade from me. So it's a good move for them that a lot of positive can come out of it. But now we have to get into the real skill position. No one cares about quarterback. No one cares about running back. People are here for the receivers. So we'll start off with the first receiver move. We got Romeo Doubs going to the Patriots on a 4-year, $80 million deal. Pretty much getting $20 million per year. And this is interesting. It's a lot of money for a receiver who has never hit 1,000 yards in his career. Also, a receiver that only has 2 career 100-yard games. That's a lot of money for a receiver like that. But when you consider the Patriots' receiver situation, Stephon Diggs is no longer with the team for various reasons. I won't go into detail on that. But outside of that, you have Mac Hollins, Kayshon Boutte, Pop Douglas, Kyle Williams, and Efton Chisholm III. So, not exactly the most goal. It's not exactly Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, not CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. It's not that. It's the complete opposite, honestly. A lot of people made noise about Drake May dragging this Patriots offense all the way, and yeah, he did. When you look at that garbage, honestly. So they're bringing in a solid receiver for Drake May to throw to, and for that reason, I give this, even though the money is a bit much, I give it an A. It's not a bad deal. He was the Packers' leading receiver last year with 724 yards on 55 catches, 6 touchdowns too. And he's shown flashes in the Packers wild card loss, I believe it was, to the Bears. He had 124 yards and the touchdown to go along with that. So there is potential there. There's production there as well. Like over the course of his career, he has 2,424 yards, 21 touchdowns. He's a deep threat, so you no longer have those shots going to Keyshawn Booty and Pop Douglas down the seam. You don't have to rely on that. And also, I mentioned he only has 2 100-yard games. Those have both come in the postseason. So you bring in a person that seemingly is a playoff riser, and you pair him up with Drake May, who is, a lot of people say, I don't know about top 5, but top 6 quarterback right now. You got Mahomes, you got Allen, you got Lamar, and then Burrow, Herbert, Stafford, May. Like those are the quarterbacks he's with, so he's definitely in that upper tier. So you give him a receiver who can be a deep threat, who can really bloom into like a really good, solid receiver for them, which he wasn't able to do in Green Bay, partially because of the hundreds of receivers that they have over there and just the congestion that they have. I remember some like issue with their receiver room with Matt LaFleur, and I don't know who exactly it was he was arguing with. It might have been Romeo Dobbs, but I could be wrong. So you give him to Drake May, who can smooth things out overall. It's a really good move for the Patriots. And then you go from one Super Bowl team to the other. Rashid Shaheed has decided to stay with the Seahawks. He signs a 3-year, $51 million deal that includes $34.7 million guaranteed. So it's a good move for them. They keep some of their offensive weapons. Well, I don't want to say that it got rid of, but they didn't re-sign Kenneth Walker. They decided to re-sign Rashid Shaheed. So it's a solid move for them, honestly. In his 12 games, 12 regular season plus playoffs with the Seahawks, he had 18 catches for 266 yards. He didn't have any touchdowns receiving, even though he did have special teams touchdowns. He also had 11 rushing attempts, too, on those end arounds, things like that. He had 3 special teams touchdowns. My mistake. And honestly, those came at crucial times. He had a 58-yard punt return against the Rams in, I believe it was week 16. And then they went on to win that game. They rallied back after being down 16. And then also he returned the opening kickoff against the Niners, and I think it was the divisional round. So he just has big playability that can turn the course of the game in favor of the Seahawks, and it makes a lot of sense why they bring him back. And for that, I'll give it a B. He's been a Pro Bowler, and he was a Pro Bowler last year as a kick returner. It's his second time. So it's a very solid move for them. And then it's a nice pairing with JSN. JSN, a lot of people don't really know him as that deep threat receiver. He's more that possession receiver who can just kill you. But Rashid Shaheed is known as one of those top deep threat receivers. He has, with the Saints, he was notorious as a deep threat receiver. He had 6 touchdowns of at least 50 yards, and all but 2 of his 12 career touchdowns are from at least 30 yards out. So he's a deep threat, and that is a great pairing when you have JSN on the other side. you force teams to either want to protect the deep threat and have JSN just tear you up from the short to intermediate range, or you decide to cover up JSN or try to cover up JSN, considering what he did last year, and he was just an alien, and just let Rashid Shaheed run free behind in single coverage and have Sam Darnold throw bombs all day. So it's a good pairing there, and I like this for the Seahawks. I like that they kept him, just really keeping the or I don't want to say keeping the offense together because they got rid of Kenneth Walker, but keeping the passing game together. Even though you also lost Clint Kubiak, I think that you'll be able to put together a good team and a good passing game if you just have those core three with Darnold, JSN, and Shaheed. After that, we'll stay in the NFC West. We'll go down to the Bay Area with the San Francisco 49ers. Mike Evans has decided to leave the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and is signing with the 49ers. It's a 3-year deal worth up to $60.4 million, but it's only $16.3 guaranteed. It's not horrible. So it's a good move for the 49ers when you consider the fact that Kyle Shanahan somehow always manages to put together a productive offense. You look at the receiving core last year, it was honestly on par with the Patriots receiver core in terms of just bad, garbage doo-doo. So this is a good move. You don't know what type of Mike Evans you're getting because he has been facing hamstring injuries the past couple seasons. It's the reason that he is tied for Jerry Rice with only 11 consecutive 1,000-yard receiving seasons. I'm saying only 11. That's insane. But it's the reason he didn't get 12 because hamstring injuries sidelined him, forced him to miss time. So I give this a B. It's a solid move for them. Like I said, it's only $16.3 million guaranteed, so you could theoretically move off of him pretty early if things don't work out, if he hits like an age cliff or something like that, or if that power generator gets to him and just zaps his hamstrings and turns them into pulled pork or something, or a brisket just falling off the bone like Frank Ragnow when he tried to come back. So you can move off of him, and then it also just gives you an option out there at receiver. Brock Purdy is an accurate quarterback, so you can get the ball to Mike Evans. Kyle Shanahan, like I said, is also a genius and always produces a top 10 offense. So he'll definitely scheme up ways to get Evans the ball in, I don't even know how. He might do it like a triple reverse flea flicker hook and ladder for all I know. So he'll be able to get the ball to Mike Evans. And then also Mike Evans kind of said that he wanted to go to a winning. I don't remember the exact wording, so I don't want to butcher this. But it was something along the lines of he wasn't satisfied with last season, which kind of means he wasn't happy that they didn't make the playoffs, unhappy with Todd Bowles, unhappy with the team, unhappy with his performance. I'll let you read into that. So, yeah. But solid move for the 49ers. Solid B. Nothing crazy, but it's a good move bringing in some receiver, especially when Brandon Ayuk is just MIA at this point. You don't even know what's happened to him. After that, we go to the Titans. This is one of the worst held secrets in free agency that the Titans were getting Wan'Dale Robinson from the Giants. It's an interesting deal. It's 4 years, $78 million, and that includes $38 million guaranteed. This is kind of buying. I don't want to compare this to what the Colts did with Daniel Jones buying into a 1-year season, but he did have kind of a 1-year season, all things considered. Like, there was no Malik Neighbors, so Wan'Dale Robinson got the majority of the targets, and he finished with 92 catches for 1,014 yards, 4 touchdowns. So who knows how legit that is? If that's just fugazi, but he I will say he stays healthy. He's played in at least 15 games past 3 seasons. So, very respectable there. Stays on the field, that's good. That's something you need. You need consistency for Cam Ward. Just give him a receiver that'll stay on the field, especially considering that Calvin Ridley was not able to do that. So, it's a good move for the Titans. I give this, it's a bit steep of a price, and for that, I'll give it a C. Not crazy, but it's a steep price. You're basically giving Cam Ward a good deep threat. He averaged 11 yards per catch last season, and his air yards per target were at 8.7. So it's more of a deep threat for Cam Ward, and it's just giving him a young receiver that is able to just be around, stay on the field, build a connection, build some chemistry with Cam Ward. And he's following Daboll. That is why it was one of the worst kept secrets of free agency. He was going to follow Daboll no matter what. Just pair up with his former OC that helped him out. So it's a move that it makes a lot of sense for the Titans. They needed a lot of help. When I was talking about the head coaches, and I believe like one of the first episodes I ever put out, I was talking about how the Titans needed a lot of help, needed to make a lot of roster moves, and that Robert Saleh shouldn't be one and done because of that. Well, this is one of the roster moves that they had to make. They had to bring in a receiver, so this is nothing crazy, nothing horrible, very, very respectable for them. After that, we go over to the Steelers. And Michael Pittman was traded to the Steelers. And this trade, it opens up $24 million in cap space for the Colts, which were used for other reasons. I'll get into that in a second. But it's an interesting pairing. I talked about pairing Rico Dowdle and Jaylen Warren as 2 power backs. You are now doing the same thing in the receiver room, pairing up 2 of the most, well, I don't want to say 2 of the most freakish, but it looks like 2 of the most freakish receivers in the league. You're pairing Pittman, who is 6'4", 223, with DK Metcalf, who is 6'4", 230. You just got 6'2", 6'4" receivers on the outside. One of them is more of a deep threat. One is more of an underneath slot type of guy. But it's a good, when you look at the pairing, I give this an A because when you look at their skills, it's a good pairing up of skills. You got DK as that deep threat, and you got Pittman as that underneath threat. And even as the underneath threat, he can get you 1,000 yards receiving. Like, I believe he's career high 1,100 something yards. So he can produce for you. I'll put that out there. It's a good pairing for them, and for that I give them an A. it's clear that, well, not clear, but the Steelers have been looking for receivers. This is the second season in a row they've traded for them. For one, they traded for DK last year, and even with DK, it was just DK in that receiver core because no one else had more than 490 yards. No one else even touched 500 yards receiving. So pairing Pittman and DK really builds out the receiver core, like I talk about with that running back group of Jalen Warren and Rico Dowdle. It helps whoever is in at quarterback. You don't know yet. It could be Rodgers, could be someone else. It helps just really short out that offense with those questions there and make sure that you just have some sort of foundation and some sort of just base of competency on offense that you don't have to struggle with. You're not just middle of the season, you're just, oh, what do we do now? We don't have any offensive firepower. We don't have any receiving threats like you did last season. So it's a very, very good move for the Steelers. And then we go to the Colts. And the reason that they traded Pittman and opened up that $24 million in cap space, that is Alec Pierce. They signed him to a wild 4-year, $116 million contract extension. Just, that is insane to me. And a bit much for me, honestly. I give this, partially for the money, I give this a B minus, bordering on C. Like, there was 81, 80, 81. That's kind of what I'm looking at here for that B minus, because that's a bag. I much rather would have given him a Romeo Dobbs type contract, which was 4 years, 80 million instead of 4 years, 116. You gave him 36 more million dollars. Just, I don't know if that's exactly worth it. I get that he put up 1,000 receiving yards last year on only 47 catches and had an insane yards per reception, led the league with 21.3 on that. And that, some of these numbers, I'm just going to keep listing them off. He had 36% of his receptions were 20 yards or longer, and he only dropped one pass. And even though he's led the team in yards, he hasn't ranked top 3 in target share. So it's some insane numbers. It's production for sure, without question. When it's not like Romeo Dobbs who hasn't had 1,000 yards, Alec Pierce has done that. But I don't know if it's worth $116 million. I don't know if it's that level of production. He was the top receiver free agent. A lot of teams were trying to get him. I think the Chargers were trying to get him among other teams, but it's a deep threat for the Colts. And I know that one of the reasons he stayed was that he wanted to play with Daniel Jones. I heard that teams offered him more, but he wanted to stay with Daniel Jones. I trashed that Daniel Jones deal earlier. I still hate it with a burning passion. But, Alec, you do realize Daniel Jones is not going to play for, the entire 2026 season, right? For the first year of your deal, Daniel Jones ain't going to be there, bud. You're going to be catching passes from Riley Leonard or, dare I say, Anthony Richardson again. I don't know what exactly you had in mind for the first half of the year, just first year of your deal. You're not catching passes from Daniel Jones. You're catching passes from Riley Leonard and Anthony Richardson here. So there's that, but it's just the money. The money is too much for me. it's I don't know. It's similar to the Daniel Jones thing where, yeah, okay, he had a good season last year. Do it again. Prove to me that you deserve this money. You could have given him a smaller deal. You, I know I said you should have franchise tagged Daniel Jones. You should have tagged Jones or Pierce, one of the two. Probably you should have signed Pierce and kept Jones on the tag because you are blowing an insane amount of money on the combination of the two. But like you're blowing, I think it's a combined 200, a potential total of $216 million on just two players right there. And yeah, that's a bit of an issue. So I'm not a huge fan of this at all. I gave this a B minus. I'm talking myself into giving this a C. I don't like this. It's not great. Not something that I'm just jumping for joy for. But something that is a lot better for me is, I talked about this earlier in previous episode, the DJ Moore trade to the Bills. Very, very good move. I give this a B plus. I like this a lot for them. Give Josh Allen number one wide receiver, something that he has been lacking, something that he hasn't had since Stephon Diggs left. Even that last season with Stephon Diggs, there were some issues there. So bringing in a true wide receiver one, so you don't have Khalil Shakir and I don't even remember who else. That's how bad they were, dude. Like just having those horrible receivers catching deep balls in the playoffs. You don't have that anymore. So you bring in a receiver that had 1,100 receiving yards in more than half of his NFL seasons, in his 4 out of 8 of his NFL seasons. And it's a really good move for the Bills overall. And it's also just Brandon Beane trying to prove that it's not horrible, trying to prove that he can do something to help Josh Allen out. So even if it's just that, I like this a lot for the Bills. And now we move past the skill groups. We go, tight end is still a skill group, but hybrid. So we go over to Isaiah Likely, signing with the Giants following his not even old head coach, his head coach, John Harbaugh, from the Ravens to the Giants. It's an interesting move. I don't know. I'd say I give this a C. Pretty mid. Nothing crazy. So I will say it's building a nice offense. You got Dart, you got Scatman, you got Neighbors, and now you got Likely. That's not a bad offensive unit right there. Not a bad core group of receivers. When you consider the fact that in his career, Likely has had 1,568 yards and 15 touchdowns. That's very good, considering he's also shared time with Mark Andrews, been the backup for him for a while with the Ravens. But when he got to shine, like in 2024 when Andrews was out for the final 6 games of the season, Likely played well. He had 322 yards and 5 touchdowns, so he's productive. He is, however, coming in to the Giants with some questions. Like, there's some injury questions. He missed time last season, which made him have career low in receptions, receiving yards, and touchdowns. And there were also some ball security issues last season in back-to-back weeks. In the second half of the season, he fumbled before reaching the end zone, first against the Bengals and then against the Steelers. And both of those fumbles changed the course of the game for the worse. So there are some questions there, but it's not a horrible, horrible move for the Ravens. It's just boosting up their offense. I can't remember which Harbaugh this is. Brain powers, please work. One of them went to your high school. One of them went to Homestead. Oh, Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh was Chargers. This is John Harbaugh. He's just John Harbaugh is just bringing in a familiar face, someone that he knows is able to produce. So just it's still just a very mid move overall. Nothing crazy. Doesn't blow your mind away, but a decent offense for Matt Nagy to work with in New York. After that, we go over to the Browns. First time talking about the Browns in this main topic. And that is because we're talking about their O-line signing. They signed Elton Jenkins to a 2-year, $24 million deal. And this is much needed when you consider the fact that the entire Browns starting offensive line, were free agents this year. It's a good move for the Browns. You're bringing in a 2-time Pro Bowler at left guard. So presumably they're going to put him back at left guard and not putting him at center and doing this BS that the Packers did last season and then released him. They're like, oh, he's not a good center. You don't say. He's a Pro Bowl guard, not a Pro Bowl center. Now, what are we talking about here? So you bring in Elton Jenkins, and then you also bring in, you give Titus Howard an extension. You also bring in Zion Johnson to be their other guard, presumably. So you're building out a nice O-line. And I'm going to grade their O-line moves overall. Give it a B. Very solid. You're bringing in a Pro Bowler with Elton Jenkins, Zion Johnson. Some people call him a terrorist with the Chargers. A horrible guard, but not my place to judge. I'm not a Chargers fan. I won't say that I've been grinding the Zion Johnson tape. So yeah, I'll give it a B for the Browns as they rebuild their offensive line under first-year head coach Todd Monken. After that, we get into one of the other most touted players in this free agency class, and that is center Tyler Linderbaum. He signed with the Raiders on a record-setting deal. 3 years, $81 million, $60 million guaranteed. Like I said, record deal. This is the highest paid interior offensive lineman in NFL history. So he got a bag. And the Raiders were big spenders. I'll get into their other moves, a lot of defensive moves as well that they made. And they had the money to do that. But you are clearly making sure that Fernando Mendoza gets some protection. Because Tyler Linderbaum is good. He's really good. And it's a miracle. Like, players like him don't just enter free agency after their rookie contract. It's insane. He's the first Ravens offensive lineman to go to 3 Pro Bowls since Marshall Yanda. And he's at the second best pass block win rate since he was drafted. And over that same time, he's seventh among centers in run block win rate. So he's top 7 in both pass block and run block win rate for centers. You got arguably top 2 center in the league entering his 5th season. Yeah, it's a miracle. I don't even know how, why the Ravens did this. Like he helped the Ravens rush for 156 yards per game. Like, you're just giving the Ravens their cornerstone offensive lineman for the next however many years when you just have, you're going to draft Fernando Mendoza. You have Ashton Genty. You have Brock Bowers. Like, you just gave them the key to a solid offense. And for that, I don't care the money. This is an A. This is an A+. This is honestly one of the best deals of free agency. It was amazing. You don't understand. You don't get players like this in their 5th year in the league. You don't get 3-time Pro Bowlers coming off the rookie deal. Those players get re-signed. But somehow the Ravens did not, and the Raiders were able to get him. They are providing Fernando Mendoza with protection, and they are doing him a service because he will need all the protection he can get in a division that houses arguably the best defense in the league with the Broncos, and then also the Chargers and the Chiefs are no slouches either. So this is a very, very, very good move for the Raiders. I love it. Well, those were all the offensive players. Now it is time to get into the defenders, and there were a lot of defensive moves. We'll start off with Bradley Chubb. Going from the Dolphins to the Bills, he signed a 3-year, $43.5 million deal, worth up to $52.5 million, and it includes $29 million guaranteed. So this is the second year in a row that the Bills are bringing in an older pass rusher to try and just fix something. Brandon Beane's attempt at just throwing stuff at the wall, hoping something will stick. Did it last year with Joey Bosa. He did it a couple seasons ago with Von Miller. So it's an attempt. I mean, hey, Nick Chubb had 8.5 sacks last year with Miami. He played in all 17 games. Not bad. He had a decent season last year, 10.5% pressure rate, which was the 3rd highest of his career. And he was double teamed 23.1% of his plays, or his pass rushes. Not bad. But he's torn both ACLs. That's a bit of an issue. Older pass rusher, 8-year vet. 48 career sacks, not bad, but not mind-blowing either. I give this a D. I'm not a huge fan of it. It's not crazy money, but it's not a great move either. I'm not a huge fan of it. It's not something that I would love for my team. It just doesn't move me that the Bills are bringing in a third older pass rusher that's seemingly past his prime, that is just not producing at the level that you need. If you're the Bills, the defense is notorious for not showing up when it really matters most up there in Buffalo. So I don't know exactly how this solves that issue and if that is just something that changes a life for that Bills defense. But the Bills are just a nutcase right now. You had the whole Keon Coleman thing with uh, Brandon Beane and Terry Pagula. You had the firing of Sean McDermott, the promotion of Brandon Beane. You had just a whole mess there. I don't even know what to think of the Bills as a franchise right now. You have Josh Allen, you have Superman, you have potential, you have MVP candidate every year that he's healthy and he plays. Nice. Outside of that, DJ Moore. I talked about him. Nice. James Cook, offense and decent offensive line. Nice. Defense. Yikes. Not great. Brandon Beane, you need to do better. Do something to provide some defensive help for your MVP quarterback. So, yeah, I give this a D. Not a huge fan of this. After that, we go to it was an A minus. The Bengals signed Trey Hendrickson to a 4-year, $12 million deal that could be worth up to $112 million deal that can be worth up to $120 million with incentives. It includes $60 million fully guaranteed and a $20 million signing bonus. But you can't talk about Trey Hendrickson without talking about Max Crosby. Basically, the Ravens traded for Max Crosby. They gave up 2 first-round picks for him, which is something that the Ravens never do as a franchise. They don't trade their first-round picks. They like to build through the draft and sign other players. But you sign or you trade for Max Crosby, bring in your defensive end to try and boost up defense that honestly struggled last year. They were second fewest in sacks with 30. So you bring in this defensive player that plays every down on defense and is a run stopper, can provide the pass rush too, is just a disruptive player. But then like you trade for him during the day, that night you were sending the trade saying that he didn't pass the physical? What? Like, you knew that he got surgery in the offseason to repair his meniscus. Truth to be told, he was playing on that meniscus even when it requires surgery, so probably not the smartest thing in the world to do. But you rescind the trade. So, Max Crosby, go back to the Raiders. The Ravens take your 2 first-round picks back. Then you sign Trey Hendrickson like that morning. What something right here. This smells fishy. Something's not right. Maybe it's GM Eric DeCosta realizing, we can get probably the same type of pass rusher, more of a pass rush specialist, but we get to keep our 2 first-round picks and giving them away is something that we don't like to do. Maybe what they said was true and he did actually fail the physical. Maybe his recovery or his knee was worse than they thought. Who knows? But it's a weird situation there. Whatever the case is, the Ravens are trying to get back to the roots, trying to build back their defense. Jesse Minter is notorious for elevating defensive players. He did that last year with the Chargers defense, had them playing amazingly. Got Dafe Owe a massive contract, which I will talk about in a minute. But it's it's good that you're bringing in a pass rusher that over the past, I believe, 4 seasons with the Bengals, he's second in overall pressure rate, has 61 sacks in the past 4 seasons. He got Pro Bowl selections, he got an All Pro selection. So you're bringing in a pass rusher. And boy, did you need it last year. 30 sacks? Like, Myles Garrett nearly had that many sacks by himself. So that's an issue. And you're clearly addressing this issue. You're bringing in defensive talent to a defense that is already immensely talented. And if Madubuike comes back, then you have something there. Something very, very nice, something very promising for the Ravens. So I like this deal a lot. And I mentioned Odafe Owe and how Jesse Minter got him a contract. He got him a 4-year, $100 million deal. $25 million per year. It's insane. It's a D. It's a horrible deal. It's what are we talking about here? He had, sure, Jesse Minter elevated him. 7.5 sacks in 12 games with the Chargers. He set a franchise record for 3 sacks and 2 forced fumbles in the playoffs against the Patriots, even though they lost that game. But before he got to Jesse Minter, he was traded in Week 5 by the Ravens. He only had 30 sacks in 5 seasons. He was, I don't want to say a bust, but he wasn't as productive as the Ravens would have wanted him. And now, based off of what? A 13-game sample size? You're giving him $100 million? That's a bit of a stretch here. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of that. Not something that I'm exactly dying to see that the Chargers or the Commanders do overall. But it's not horrible. I won't argue with it. I won't say that the Commanders are dumb. It could have been worse, but the deal could have certainly been a whole lot better. It could have been more financially smart. Let's just put it that way. After that, I mentioned that we would get into the other moves that the Raiders did when I talked about Tyler Linderbaum, and now the Raiders spent the bag. They also signed Kwity Paye from the Colts to a 3-year, $48 million deal with $32 million guaranteed. I also give this one a D. It's a bit of an overpay. So nothing crazy. He does have 34 TFLs since 2022, which nice. But I don't know how much of an impact he's going to have. Hey, if you pair him next to Max Crosby after that, and Crosby isn't traded by the Raiders, he stays on the team, stays loyal to the Raiders, which he always talked about him wanting to do. If he does that and you pair up Paye and Crosby, then we're getting somewhere. That could be nice. Have Paye feed off of the double teams that Crosby's gonna face. That could work. So it's more dependent on if the Raiders end up keeping Crosby or if they trade him to some other location. So that's why I'm giving it a D. It's an overpay, and it's dependent on a lot of other things that could or couldn't go wrong for them. After that, I get to the Panthers. They signed Jalen Phillips to a 4-year, $120 million deal that includes $80 million in guarantees. It is a lot of money. This is basically the Trey Hendrickson deal, but all of the money, no incentives here. I give it a B because the Panthers have needed pass rush help for the longest time. And they're getting sub. They're getting a guy who had 2 sacks, 7 QB hits, a forced fumble, and 4 passes defended during his time with the Eagles. He was traded there midseason by the Dolphins. So you are getting a young player. He's 26 years old who has production. 63 games he's played in his career with 28 sacks and 68 quarterback hits. So he's guaranteed to hit the quarterback at least once per game. So that's nice. Just providing the Panthers with some pass rush help that they have desperately been lacking over the past, honestly, I wouldn't even say past couple of seasons, for a long time now. So a nice bonus. I will say, however, there are some injury concerns surrounding him. He tore his Achilles in 23 and then partially tore his ACL in 24. So who knows if he's going to stay completely healthy. But last year he did play in all 17 games. So that could be a good sign. It'll just be interesting to see if he plays, if he continues to stay healthy, and then what his level of production is going to look like as a true number one pass rusher, because even with the Eagles, they have Jordan Davis, they have Jalen Carter, they have other pass rush help, the Eagles defense is not bad. They are good. So it'll be interesting to see how well he produces as a true number one pass rusher, something that he hasn't been in previous seasons. Even when he was with the Dolphins, there was Bradley Chubb on the other side. So they were sharing attention rather than just being the sole focus. And then we get to Rashawn Gary. He was traded to the Cowboys by the Packers for a 2027 4th-round pick. Not crazy compensation, and for that, I give it a B. It's good compensation, even though he's had up and down times, I will say, but he's been productive. I'll just leave it at that. He's on the field for not a whole lot of the time, only 58% of defensive snaps. That was last season, but that's consistent throughout his career. 2023, it was only 52.8. 2024, it was 58.6. So he's only on the field for around 58% of the snaps, defensive snaps. So I don't know what that looks like for you. However, he has been productive. He has 46.5 sacks. So not bad. Not bad at all. He can be productive in the 58% of the snaps he's on the field, but it's not it doesn't move me that much. Also, considering the fact he's going to make $18 million this year unless the Cowboys restructure him. So I don't know if they will, if they won't, what they're looking at here. So a lot of things could change for the Cowboys, but it's not horrible. You're kind of like restructuring this defense after you got rid of Micah Parsons' defensive line. You got Quinnen Williams at the trade deadline. You now got Rashawn Gary as well. So not a horrible turnaround from Micah Parsons, but still not amazing. And then I mentioned the Eagles defense. I mentioned Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. And one of those two got a contract extension, and that is Jordan Davis. He got a 3-year, $78 million extension, tying him to the Philly and the Eagles for the next 4 seasons. The deal includes $65 million in guarantees, so they're tied to him. It's hard to see them moving off of him. And he is now the highest paid nose tackle in history. A lot of history-breaking deals here, as it seems to be every season because salary cap is going up. It's now $300.12 million. So, a lot of money for him. He was entering his 5th-year option going into this year. He was drafted in 2022 after winning the national championship with the Georgia Bulldogs, 13th overall pick. And I won't say he's been this sack producer from the interior, but he started in 56 games, which is solid when you consider the fact that there's 17 games in a season, 4 seasons. That's 58 games in the regular season, excluding 2 Super Bowl runs during that time. So he's played in all. If I don't know, this is on me. I don't know if those 58 games started counts the postseason or not. But if not, he's only missed 2 regular season games. If it includes the postseason, that tacks on an additional 8 games. So that means he's missed 10 games, or he hasn't started in 10 games. Don't quote me on my quick math here because that could be very, very wrong, but a DT that has only missed 10 games, I can live with that. That's very, very solid production, and he's consistent too. He won't produce, like I said, he won't produce those sacks, those mind-blowing numbers as a DT, like Aaron Donald did or something, but he'll be a run stuffer. He'll be a big presence in that defensive line. You pair him along with Jalen Carter, that is a duo that offenses do not enjoy going against on that defensive line. So I give this extension, I want to give it, this is tough. I want to give it a C. Yeah, I'll give it a C. Nothing crazy, not too bad, not mind-boggling, amazing. You're signing this deal to this, or this player to this bargain. It's not like you're signing Jalen Carter to this bargain deal, but very solid move overall. You're clearly invested in him because $65 million out of $78 million guaranteed, only $13 million not guaranteed. You're sticking with him no matter what. So, very solid move for the Eagles. We are going to move on from the D-line to the next level of the defense. And I mentioned that the Raiders spent a bag in this offseason, and they spent a bag on 2 linebackers as well. The first one being former Packers linebacker Quay Walker. They signed into a 3-year, $40.5 million deal that includes $28 million in guaranteed money. As an individual deal, I'll give this probably like a C. Quay Walker is a freak of nature, and he can produce. He had 128 tackles last season. He's only the second Packers player with at least 100 tackles in each of his first 4 seasons. So he can get to the ball. He can make those tackles when needed. So there is that, but he's not like that cerebral linebacker, quarterback of your defense that you really need to just lead your defense and take charge. I'd say a prime example of that was when he got ejected for, I believe it was shoving a Lions a trainer when a player was down. They were trying to get him out of the way so they could get access to a player, and he shoved him. Like, you can't be doing that. That's just a sign to me of like some undiscipline and discipline issues that you have to deal with. But it's nothing crazy. Like I said, he had 28 tackles last season. He's had 100 tackles in every season he's played in. So he can clearly produce. But what's really nice about this is that you pair him up with the other linebacker that you signed. The Raiders also signed former Eagles linebacker Nakobe Dean to a 3-year deal that's worth $36 million with $20 million guaranteed. I like this deal a lot more than the Quay Walker deal. I give this deal an A because Nakobe Dean is a leader of men. He is the quarterback on the defense. I'm sure a lot of you have seen that clip of him yelling at his teammate in, I believe it was the national championship against Alabama, where they made the wrong read, and then the next play, his teammate made the right read after Nakobe Dean yelled at him. So he's a leader of men, and he has produced. He's won a Super Bowl with the Eagles. He's played in 47 games with 25 starts. He's only 25 years old. He has 226 tackles in his career, which isn't nearly as many as Quay Walker. But the real thing is that you pair Nakobe Dean, who is the leader of a defense. He's a quarterback. He's the guy that's calling out plays, just making sure that everyone does their job. You pair that up with the athletic freak that is Quay Walker. You put those two together, and that produces something special for the linebacker core of the Raiders. Those two combined, honestly, change a lot for the Raiders defense. Additionally, if you get that combination I talked about of Kwity Paye and Max Crosby, you get those two playing on the defensive line as well. And you're golden right now. You just got to work out that secondary. But if you get those two playing well, really clicking, you get Quay Walker and Nakobe Dean really clicking on the middle of your defense, calling out plays, making plays, tackles, TFLs, interceptions, pass breakups, all of that. If you get those two playing at that high level, things can really, really change for the better for the Raiders. So Nakobe Dean is getting an A, Quay Walker gets a C, but you combine those two, that's an A+. That's honestly some of the best work in terms of defensive signings this year. I love the combination of these two. After that, something that maybe I'm not as passionate about as the Nakobe Dean Quay Walker pairing. You got Tremaine Edmunds going to the Giants on a 3-year, $36 million deal with $23.7 fully guaranteed. Basically, the Giants are getting a veteran on their team. A defense that was a bit disappointing last year. I thought they were going to be good considering that defensive line, Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence, Abdul Carter, Kayvon Thibodeau. I thought they were going to be a lot better than they were, but they ended up finishing 26th in points and 28th in yards. So, not exactly stellar defense there. So you bring in Tremaine Edmunds, who is a veteran, 900 tackles, 43 tackles for loss in his career. He had 112 tackles last season, despite missing time. He also had 9 passes defended, 4 interceptions, a sack, and a fumble. So he's a do-it-all guy, veteran leader that can really lead that defense, even though it's not John Harbaugh that's calling the plays. But providing leadership from John Harbaugh to Edmunds to that defense is something that is really, really good for the Giants and something that they lacked last year. So I give this a B. It's a solid move for them. Very nice move, leader on that defense that'll provide something that they have been lacking, honestly, not just last season, but the past couple of seasons. And then after that, we get to the secondary. And the Jets traded for Minka Fitzpatrick. They traded 2026 7th round pick, and Minka is signed an extension with the Jets. He signed a 3-year, $40 million deal that will keep him there through 2030 if he's not traded. And pretty much that deal it extends onto the 1 year left that he had on his previous contract, though it'll be the 2026 season. It's worth $15.6 million. So the Jets defense had 0 interceptions last year. And clearly Aaron Glenn said that is not happening a second year in a row. We are not going to be bad. So we are bringing in a safety that has played 120 games across his 8-year career and has played less than 10 games only once. So we're bringing in a guy who is on the field and he produces with 690 tackles and 21 interceptions. We are producing and we are getting a pick next year. That is what Aaron Glenn said. But you got rid of most of your defensive talent. You do know that, right? It would have been nice if you had kept everyone. You had kept Jermaine Johnson. You had kept Quinnen Williams. You had kept Sauce Gardner. And then brought in Minka. Now we're getting somewhere. That's a defense that I can get my mind behind. But no, you don't have Quinnen Williams. You don't have Sauce Gardner. You don't have Jermaine Johnson. You have T'Vondre Sweat, which isn't a bad move at all. I'm not hating on T'Vondre Sweat. That's a very, very solid move. Younger player than Jermaine Johnson. And honestly, more productive when you... I don't exactly remember the in-depth stats that I looked at when I talked about that trade, but very respectable player right there. But yeah, it's only Minka Fitzpatrick here, not anyone else really notable in that secondary. So, I'll give it a C. If they had brought Minka Fitzpatrick in and not traded the rest of those players, I would have probably given this like a B+. I would have been very, very impressed with this move, trading a 7th round pick for Minka to pair up with the rest of those players. But no, you're kind of relying on Minka to be your defensive leader, the guy that's going to lead your offense and really change everything for them. So I give it a C. Very mid move. You got good value for him. You won't end up with 0 picks again this season, but it's a bit lacking. Maybe you spend those picks that you got from those trades and bring in more secondary help, but I don't know if you'll do that because you also need a lot of help on that offensive line and on the offense in general. So some issues there. And then we go over to the one really major move that the Eagles made this year, and that is signing Riq Woolen to a 1-year deal worth up to $15 million. I don't know how I feel about the Eagles this year. A lot of people were touting Howie Roseman as this all-seeing GM, kind of like people do with Mark Presti or Sam Presti in the NBA with the Thunder. I don't know where Mark Presti came from, but with Sam Presti with the Thunder, but more people have left the Eagles than the Eagles have signed this year in free agency. I have a lot of questions about that. And then even when you look at Riq Woolen, he's a guy that he's up and down. Like, when he's up, when he's on, amazing. Like, since he's been drafted, which was in 2022, he has 41 pass breakups, which are tied for most in the league. and his 12 interceptions are fourth among corners. But there's also the down. Like the start of the season, like this season, the first 6 weeks, he was 82nd when it came to passer rating against. But then in the final 12 weeks of the season, he was 6th. So there's just this up and down. Like you can be here for the first like part of the season, then you can be up here for the second part of the season. It's just very up and down, very inconsistent play that you have to deal with for Riq Woolen. But I think the Eagles are just trying to capitalize and just hope that they get the good play out of him, get the play that has him as the most pass breakups since he entered the league. Get the player that has a passer rating against of 78.7 as the nearest defender, which is 16th out of all the defenders who qualify with at least 500 coverage snaps. So you hope to get the high of that player, but there's also the lows. Like you saw what he did against the Rams in the NFC Championship. Just him just running up the sideline, taunting players. Like for no reason. Like what are we doing here? Why are you doing that? There is no need for that at all. It's just a bit excessive. So there's the high and low dynamic of that, of just Riq Woolen as a player overall. So I give this a C, just very mid. Like you have the potential for the highs, but you also have the potential for the really, really lows. So a lot of things could go wrong here, and that's why I can't just vaunt this up to some spectacular signing. And then we get the final major signing of this free agency, and that is Trent McDuffie. Well, not signing. He was traded initially by the Chiefs to the Rams for a lot of picks. It included the 29th pick in this year's draft, but also a 5th and a 6th round pick in this draft, and then a 3rd round pick next year. So 4 picks go to the Chiefs. The Rams still have the other pick that they had this year they got from the Falcons. The Falcons traded that for potentially a nasty man, who knows, in James Pierce Jr. TBD, we'll see what happens there. But the Rams reached an agreement with him for a record 4-year, $124 million extension with $100 million guaranteed. These contracts are just insane to me here. But the Rams are fixing their secondary, something that they have been needing to do for a long, long time. I talked about this on the last episode when I was talking about players that were traded for. I was going through it on the news. But they're getting a player who is a prime all-pro cornerback to shore up their secondary that they have been needing to do. They also re-signed Cam Curl. They also brought in another corner from the Chiefs whose name is slipping my mind at the moment, but you just reinvented your secondary. The Rams are now Super Bowl favorites as it stands. So it's just insane. Like McDuffie in 56 games, he has 3 interceptions, 34 pass breakups, 5.5 sacks, 246 tackles, and he was an All-Pro in 2023. Like, even when you look at the in-depth stats, like the nerd stats, he allowed 6 yards per target in coverage over the past 2 seasons, and that's 3rd best among DBs who have been targeted 150 times. Like, the Rams are just getting a lockdown corner that just boosts their offense to another level, and their defense. And their defense was already good. Like, their front line is good. Their defensive line, amazing. I love their defensive line. So there's a reason the Rams are now Super Bowl favorites. And honestly, they might be my Super Bowl pick next year. I still haven't figured out who I'm going to go for, but this is very possibly up there. So those are all the major moves that have happened in the NFL at the free agency deadline, at least at the time of this recording. But we'll get into some. I'll just rapid fire through some of the other smaller deals. John Mechie has gone to the Panthers. Former Browns O-lineman Jedrick Willis signed to the Bears. Former Vikings DT Javon Hargrave went to the Packers. Former Jags linebacker Devin Lloyd went to the Panthers. That's a good move for them. I like that a lot. I talked about how the Eagles let a lot of players left. One of them was one half of the Amazing Whites. Reed Blankenship has gone to the Texans, one of the best defenses in the league. The rich just keep getting richer there. Their defense is disgusting. After that, former running back for the Bucks, Rachaad White, went to the Commanders. And then another Vikings defensive lineman, Jonathan Allen, went to the Bengals. The Bengals are shoring up their defensive line, trying to just improve there. And then the Cowboys traded Osa Odigizua to the 49ers. 49ers trying to bring in more talent for their defensive line. They had a lot of injuries last year, a lot of stuff that they had to deal with there. And then also former Saints linebacker Demario Davis signed with the Jets. So those are all of the major moves that have happened in free agency so far. I feel like I've been yapping for an eternity, so let's transition over to Game Time to have some fun. Welcome to Game Time. We are going to be starting off with a random wheel draft like we've been doing the past couple weeks, starting off with the NFL, so let's get into it. First team. Hopefully this goes well. Last time we had a pretty good offense. Hoping for something good again here. Eagles will take Saquon at running back. That's a good start. Hopefully nothing goes wrong. And I keep on getting good players like that. That's the second week in a row that I've gotten Justin Jefferson, and I am happy with that. He is, for me, best receiver in the league. I don't really care. Okay, we're doing that. We're pairing Jettas and Justin Jefferson. That is disgusting. And keeping in mind, we are counting all of the players that moved around during free agency. Eagles. Who do I take now? Their O-line wasn't great. Defense, definitely not taking Hurts or Sirianni. I'll put their Eagles defense has been good the past couple seasons. So I'll take that. That's interesting. I didn't think I'd be getting two Eagles picks in a row. Lamar. Ew. Commanders. Who do I take from the Commanders? O-line. Defense. They don't really have any defensive players. QB. I don't want to go. I'll take Dan Quinn, I guess. Not horrible, but I want to save some of those other spots for something better, maybe. Detroit Lions. O-line, no, they have O-line issues. They're trying to fix that. We'll go Hutchinson. Take Hutchinson as our defensive player. Not bad. I need a quarterback. I need a good quarterback that is not from not the Steelers. I'm not taking Rodgers. Their O line isn't great, but they don't really have a tight end either. I'll go tight end. I don't think I spelled his name right there, but not ideal. I need a quarterback or a good offensive line. Oh, give me Cam Ward at least. Cam Ward. Oh no, offensive line or quarterback. Do I want Jacoby Brissett or the Cardinals O line? Oh, if I had gone with the Steelers O line, I could have had Trey McBride. I'll go Cardinals, and we're putting all of my eggs in the basket here. Whoever I get at quarterback, Patriots, Drake May. Yes. Okay. I can type Drake May. Dude, this looks like the exact same team as last time. An insane offense with Drake May, Saquon, Freiermuth, Jettis, and JSN. Then a meh O-line, and decent defense. Honestly, this isn't bad, but I'd say this team was a Super Bowl this year. Honestly, with what Drake May did, you give him those weapons instead of Diggs and Kayshon Boutte and Travion Henderson. They're winning the Super Bowl with this. But let's move on to guessing game. We got to guess this team based on the amount of teams these players have played for. So let's start with quarterbacks. Not Goff, not Stafford, not Darnold. Could be Herbert. Could be Herbert, actually. But I don't know about that O-line. It's not the Ravens. I don't think it's Mahomes either. It's not Josh Allen. The Bills. Why do I think this is the Chargers? It's not the Chargers. Yeah, that O-line, definitely not. Who could this be? The Bears? No, it's not the Bears, though. Definitely not. Not the Vikings, because Aaron Jones has played for more than one team. Not the Lions. Not the Packers. Patriots. No, it's not the Patriots either. Definitely not the Jets. Not the Bills. Dolphins? No, not the Dolphins either. Who in the world is this? It's not Panthers, Saints. Not the Falcons. There's no way it's the Falcons. Who in the world could this be? Oh, wow. It's not the Cowboys. Not the Eagles. Not the
It's not the Giants, is it? No, it's not. Dude, this is impossible. These receivers and quarterback that have not switched, so their entire skill group has not switched teams. This is tough. So it's not the Eagles. I don't think it's the Tech. No, it's not the Texan. No, it's not the Texans because Dalton Schultz was a Cowboy. Not the Colts. I don't think this is the Titans either. No, it's not the Titans. Broncos, no. Raiders. Chargers. Steelers, Bengals. This is going to be very wrong. Yeah, it's not the Bengals. The Browns. There's no way it's the Browns. No, because Jerry Jeudy played for. He was drafted by the Broncos. Who in the world could this be? What teams am I missing that I've listed off? I feel like I've listed off the entire NFL at this point. Shot in the dark, Tennessee Titans. It was the Raiders. Yep. I should have seen that coming. Play the lineup game here. See who are we going to take. Interesting. Huh. Very interesting. That's not bad. Honestly, Dalton Schultz is a very serviceable tight end. I'll take this, actually, yeah. Submit that lineup. 7%. Not crazy, but I like that. That's not bad. Not bad at all. All right. But now we're going to go back to the wheel. This time, soccer. Let's see. Let's hope it goes better than last time, because last time it was bad. It was really, really bad. Okay, Napoli. We are going to start with Scott McTominay. I don't think I've spelled that right, but one can hope. After that, who do we get? Roma. McTominay. We could go Dybala. Mancini has been plaguing me for a while. I don't want to go with him. I could go Pellegrini as well. But I don't want to already take up two midfielders. What do I do here? Dybala. Screw it. I grew up watching him anyways when he was with Juventus. Who cares? After that, give me Man City. City. Yes. Donnarumma. Got my goalie out the way. Arguably best goalie in the world.
My national team keeper, love him. Milan or Inter Milan. What is with all of these people with Italian Serie A ties? I'll go Leao. Yeah, I'll go Leao. After that, who else are you gonna give me? City again. Interesting. Oh well. There's one man that I want. His name is Erling Haaland, who is an absolute animal. PSG. Okay. Interesting. PSG, who do I go for here? I could go for Vitinha and finish out my midfield. Or I could go... yeah, we'll do that. I'll take that, honestly. Now I just need good defense. Chelsea. Who do I take from Chelsea? Oh, I can just take Cucurella. Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Cucurella. Yeah, that works. That's fine. I'm fine with that. Nothing crazy. As long as this wheel keeps spitting out talent. Oh, Barcelona. Okay. Oh, who do I take here? Nah. We'll stay with the insane midfield there. Actually, I'll take that back. I don't know about insane midfield, but very good. Oh no, Tottenham. Yuck. They just gave up 5 to Atletico Madrid the other day. No, yuck. Who do I take from Tottenham? I can take... yeah, Christian Romero, I believe. Yeah, Christian Romero. Okay, who else? It might have been smart to spend some of my other picks on defenders, but who cares? We'll go Bremer there. And then final pick, good right back. Juventus right back. Oh. Of course, I get Juventus for right back when they run a 3-4-2-1. Wonderful. I feel like I did this with Inter a couple episodes ago. Having to put like a center back into right back position, but this is much better than last time. I'll say that a lot better than last time, and surprisingly very Italian tinted. Leao plays in Serie A. Cavara played in Serie A. Dybala plays in Serie A. McTominay plays in Serie A. Kalulu plays in Serie A. Bremer plays in Serie A. Donnarumma played in Serie A. Yeah, that's interesting. But not a bad squad. I'll read it off. In goal, we have Donnarumma. And then left back, Cucurella. Center backs, we got Romero and Bremer. Right back, we got Kalulu. In the midfield, we got Dybala, Pedri, and McTominay. And up front, we got Leao, Haaland, and Kvara. So, not a bad roster at all. Then, keep it going. We will guess the player. start here. Premier League team, midfielder. He's an older either striker or defender. Who is an older striker or defender? With the low number 2. Interesting. Low shirt number. Do we think it could be a goalie? That's a bit of a long shot. So I'm gonna stick with a field player. It's an older field player here. No, because I was gonna say Bernardo Silva, but he's Portuguese, so that doesn't work. Who else do I want to try out? That's the issue, because a lot of these teams are really, really young. So it's not United. City is young all around. I'll try John Stones. So it's an English player, he's a striker or a goalie. English striker or goalie. Pickford? It is Jordan Pickford. I am locked in here. Absolutely amazing. That's honestly the best I've done with this game. I don't know why goalie was just calling to me here. Absolutely dialed. Now time for a FIFA foot draft. What do we go for here? I think we go classic 4-3-3. Who do we take? Van Persie. Just take highest rated for now. Ziyech, I guess. Oh, no. This is disgusting. Van Persie, I guess we'll take Sane, even though that does nothing for us. No, because Sane is still on City. You got I'll take a Henderson, I guess. Busquets, dude, I'm not gonna get any chemistry with this at all. I'll take Toni Kroos. Please. No. Trent. No, not Trent. Ew. Okay. I'll take that for chemistry sake. And then him as well for chemistry sake. Oh, no. Bud off. Ew. Do I get anything from... I get some chemistry from that guy, but yuck, that is bad. That's even worse. Bundesliga. I'll take a Bundesliga goalie, I guess. Oh, thank you, you beautiful, beautiful man, Bobby Moore. You are gonna save my life. Thank you. Riyad Mahrez could be serviceable. So could Hazard. Oh no, he wasn't. Wait a minute. This could work, actually. That works. We'll take Manolas just for the rating. Okay, Stoichkov. We'll take that. Just because Van Persie is messing up all of my chemistry. We'll take... Just this... That increases my chemistry. Okay. After that, Musa, he was amazing in that World Cup. Side tangent, though. Nedved will take that as well. Ooh. N'Golo Kante. Wow. Very nice. Laporte as well. And then Kai Havertz before you were actually decent. Souza, Ben Yedder, Mason Mount with Derby County. Wow. Okay, let's reshuffle things a bit. 89, can I fit Kante onto this team somehow? You were the only player cooked. Do I put him in? Does he save some chemistry? Can I put Laporte in as well? And then this left back, though, that is an issue, and I don't have a goalie that can help me. So, Cruz, you go back in. Oh, wait a minute. Ooh. If I swap these, no, that drops chemistry. Okay. If only. Oh, this could have been so much better. I just needed a left back, dude. Anybody would have worked. Anybody other than that guy. No one knows who he is. Can I put in this guy? Oh, no, that lowers chemistry by a lot. Oh well. Not bad, but 189. Could be better. Could be a whole lot better. Now we get into the final wheel spin game, but the caveat is we have to build a team better than the prime 2017 Golden State Warriors with Curry, Thompson, Durant, Green, and McGee. This is going to be current day roster, so hopefully we get somebody good. And oh boy. We start with the Washington Wizards. Yeah. That's not good. That is not good at all. The Washington Wizards. Who in the world do I want from this team? I don't want to take Alex Sarr, but I don't want to take Trae Young either. This is tough. There's Bub at the point. I could take Trae at the 2, or I could take Sarr at the center. Oh wow, this is not good. I'll take Trey Johnson. I am not happy with that. And we are not off to a good start at all. Please give me somebody better. Please give me the Pistons. Pistons, not the Nets. Pistons. The Nets. This wheel hates me. What in the world am I supposed to do with the Nets? Oh no. Who am I supposed to take from the Nets? Who am I supposed to take here? I'll take Claxton, I guess. That's fair point against JaVale McGee, maybe. Probably. Clippers. Okay. Take Kawhi. That's not horrible. Kawhi's balling out right now, so that's very respectable. Trying to get players. Oh my
god. No. We'll put Lowry at the 4, even though I don't have anything right now. This is horrible. You give me the Orlando Magics. I need a point guard. Oh no. So, I'm getting first rounded or swept, however you want to put this. I'm getting swept out of the building in not even 4 games. I'm getting swept in 3. I think Curry and Durant are gonna drop a combined like 80 points at least. What are we talking about here? This is cooked, bro. Oh, this wheel hates me. The NBA wheel just hates me, and I don't know why. Hopefully, I can do somewhat better on Podol. Play a guard, 6'3" guard in the East. 6'3" guard in the East. Who do I want to go for here? No, because that's a bit tall for Hallie and Cade. It's a bit short for Hallie and Cade. Too short for Brunson, or too tall for Brunson. Tyler Hero. Guard in the East. 6'5". He's like 27. He's not in the Southeast. Central Division will go VJ. He's not in the Atlantic. Who do I want to take here? Guard in the Atlantic. Like 27, 6'3". 27, no, because I can't. It's not D-Mitch. Who do I take? Very interesting here. Not feed. No. I'm stumped because I can't think of a player. I'll take. Cade is too young to be this player, but Central Division. Where's number 2? Central Division. Who? Wait. No. No way. He's way too old, right? RJ? Yeah, he's a 3-4. Oh, I'm stupid. Toronto's in the Atlantic. Okay. Is this Nemhard? No, he's also a guard forward. Oh. And it's not Indiana. It's not Detroit. Who is left? Dude, this is why we need to bring back the relevance of the divisions in the NBA. Apart from, I know the Western divisions. I don't know the Eastern ones. Milwaukee? I think. Yeah. So it's not the Pacers, not Detroit. I think Milwaukee. Who do I want to test out from Milwaukee? This isn't going to be right. It's my last guess. Who in the world is this player?
Well, it's not. I'm not doing better than I was on the wheel spin. That's for sure. I did throw away a guess with R.J. Barrett though, so it's not Detroit. It's not Indy. It's not Milwaukee. Atlantic is what? Philly, Celtics, Knicks, Nets, and Raptors. I could go the Bulls. But who in the world do the Bulls have? No way. No, it's not Modest. Modest is too young, anyways. This guy's like 27. Modest is too young. Could be the Bulls, though. Wait. What? Is this Anthony Simons? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. I was off just by the age. It was Colin Sexton. Oh, no. I was so close. Hold up. How do you have two players wearing the number 2? Wait a minute. What? Something ain't right here. How do you have two players wearing the number 2? What? Oh my gosh. Well, back to Hoop Goat. Maybe this will redeem me some capacity here. Chris Bosh. Nice tier 3. KG. We'll go tier 2. Chris Webber will go tier 4. Carl Ew. Nasty Man will put you there. Amari Stoudemire will put you there. KD will put you there. Sabonis, get out of here. I don't want to see your face. Dirk, AK-47, and what was this? Jermaine O'Neal. What was this category? Outstanding power forwards. Yeah, these should have been bumped up one. Could have been worse, but could have been a whole heck of a lot better. All right, let's do another one. Let's do franchise GOATs. Get out of here. In terms of franchise GOAT, KD, bro. Tim Duncan. No, none of these players are franchise GOATs, bro. I guess Dwight. Dirk is definitely franchise GOAT. IT will put you there. Dr. J, and then yeah, honestly, keep 4, cut 4. Yeah, we're keeping LeBron. AK-47. We'll cut you Carmelo. We'll cut Carmelo. We'll keep Dirk. Michael Redd. Bye-bye. Oh, dear. Okay. No, that's not bad. Ooh. Probably switched out Carmelo and Ben Wallace, but dude, not bad. Let's go to... We'll wrap it up with some start, bench, cut. Nothing crazy. Okay. Oh, wow. Interested. Nasty Man, KG, and... yeah. I'll go with that. Ew. If we're going right now?
If we're going right now, then we're doing that. You're hurt. You can't play. And then, but you haven't been playing well. Ugh. Dude, these are disgusting. Okay. Interesting debate here. We'll end it off on this, but interesting. Who in the world do I go with here? Chris Paul, Jason Kidd, and John Stockton. I feel like Chris Paul should be one. Then Jason Kidd and John Stockton. How do I parse this? I'm gonna put Kidd and then cut Stockton. Interesting, but that is the end of game time. I will say, wasn't exactly phenomenal. NFL team was meh, dude. My basketball luck was horrible today. That NBA team was disgusting. And then, dude, how do two players on the Bulls have the same number here? That's what's throwing me off. So, interesting, but not bad. It was pretty fun. I enjoyed it. So, that's it for game time. Now it's time to get into some of those previews. We are coming up on the end of the episode, and as is tradition, we're going to look at the upcoming schedule for some of the major stuff that is going to happen between now and the next news episode on Tuesday. I will be putting one out this week. Sorry about it again this week. I had to take some tests during the week for school, so that came first. But let's get into the upcoming schedule. Start off first in the NBA. We got 4 games. First one, interesting matchup. First time I'm talking about the Hornets and the upcoming games, but they have been on an absolute heater. We got Hornets on Spurs on Saturday, 3:30, March 14th. That is going to be an interesting game. It'll be interesting to see how those two teams pair up against each other. And then after that, at 8:30 on Saturday, we got the Nuggets and the Lakers. Again, two teams. It'll be interesting to see how they face off against each other. I think Luka just put up 51 points the other night, and the Nuggets have been struggling more as of late. And then on Sunday, we got 2 good games. First game, we got the T-Wolves and the Thunder at 1. This is always a good matchup, Ant versus SGA. I love to watch that every time. It's just fantastic. And then we got another Lakers game. I'm not a Lakers fan, but Luka Doncic is entertaining to watch. So we got the Lakers and the Rockets at 9:30 on Sunday. And then we got a good slate when it comes to soccer, going everywhere across Europe. First game to start off your weekend will be Inter versus Atalanta at 10 a.m. on Saturday, starting off strong in Serie A. And then we go over to the Bundesliga. I think the first time I'm talking about the Bundesliga here. First time for a lot of stuff on this upcoming schedule part. But we got Bayer Leverkusen versus Bayern Munich at 10:30. And then we travel a bit further into the future. We got a Sunday. We got 2 teams that are fighting for the position within the top 4. We got United and Aston Villa at 10 a.m. I am a United fan somewhat, so I will definitely be tuned into that. And then as a Juventus fan, I will 100% be tuned into Como versus Roma at 1. That is a major battle to see who will come out as the 4th team to get that Champions League spot in Serie A. Great slate of games. And on top of that, we also have conference championships for basketball. A lot of seeding implications going down. You got number 1 you had Miami, Ohio, the only undefeated team left. They got knocked off by UMass a couple nights ago. You got UNC got knocked off by Clemson. You got a bunch of stuff going down. So I will also be tuning in to the conference championships for college hoops as well. And then, of course, March Madness is closing in. Best time of the year. I can't wait for that. All of bracketology, filling out brackets. I can't wait for all of that. But that is the end of this episode, and it was a doozy. Longest episode of In His Bag by far. I think we probably hit 3 hour plus mark in this episode, and yeah, it was fun. I had a good time going through all of those free agents. It was pretty fun. I did enjoy it. Won't complain about it one bit. So, thank you all for listening, and stay tuned for the news episode on Tuesday in a new location, perhaps a guest appearance. Who knows? But you'll just have to tune in on Tuesday to find out. Again, thanks for watching. If you're on YouTube, leave a like, comment, subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify, leave a follow, drop a comment. You know the usual deal. Thanks for listening, and I will see you all on Tuesday.